Hey guys, welcome to the Hype Attack Podcast,
where we weigh in on the latest in nerd and pop culture hype.
We are there.
We're the excited conversation we all have with our friends
about the nerdy things we love
and geek about.
We are the Hype Attack. I am the hype.
Rudy's in my mind. Stop swallowing.
For James Gunn.
Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Hype Attack Podcast, where we weigh in on the latest in nerd and pop culture hype. I'm Rudy, once again joined by Jermaine, Doug, and Isaac.
What's up?
How's it going, guys?
Great.
It's just.
Well, his legs falling off.
Yeah,
my knees are hurting.
Yeah.
Jermaining. I don't know.
Jermaine is germinating.
That part.
Yeah. So today's discussion, today's topic, growing up as a nerd. When did you come out of the closet? When did you realize you were afflicted with that ever so just itch to dive into everything animated, to dive into comic books, to dive into whatever topic it is that you identify as a nerd?
I actually didn't go to the doctor today for my leg. I went to a therapist to prepare myself to go over the trauma of growing up as a nerd.
Because when we grew up, it wasn't all widely accepted and
True.
Everything that it is today, where you can go to a convention with other people who are seemingly normal but have that itch somewhere underneath their brain that says, "Oh, you must buy magic cards. Oh, you must play video games."
I think because of the age gap between the three of you and me, I think you guys lived in an era where it was even more taboo, if you will.
Oh yeah.
Whereas mine was during an era where it was starting to become cool to like nerdy things, whatever the fuck that means. Anime was becoming big, and it was okay and stuff.
Yeah. If one of you guys want to start first, because
I want to hear from you guys
forever. I was into it all, pretty much all my life, from what I remember. I know, my dad. I think we talked about it in the first episode of this podcast. We talked a little bit about our history in nerddom, and definitely watching Star Trek and sci-fi really little, and then comic books happened within elementary school. Video games, we got Dave, my brother, and I got the Nintendo Entertainment System. My neighbor had the ColecoVision, which was a pre-Nintendo system, and that shit, just loved it. I loved it all. Always would.
Because I was thinking about this, right? And there's a component of it that is just just childhood stuff, video games, comic books, cartoons. But then I couldn't really fathom or figure out exactly when it then becomes nerdy. It's when it is childhood stuff and you're still following it. Because I know we covered it on the very, very first episode, specifically when Jermaine was talking about Thundercats and stuff like that. And you're growing up and everyone's like, "What are you still watching?"
I agree. But I mean, even in childhood though, there were still kids that were, especially back in our day when kids could go out riding their bikes and stuff more, which I'm very glad to see the fucking punks on their e-bikes being hooligans, but awesome, good for getting outside. But I mean, I think even in elementary school, there was kids that were out doing sports. I mean, I played soccer and stuff too, but I think there were kids outside doing sports and still hanging out more in groups and all that versus me playing my Nintendo at home or playing with my action figures. Probably longer than I should have. I mean, definitely longer than I should have. But even at that point, I probably played with them more than I should have.
Reenactment here. He's in his bath now.
No kiss.
Oh, I'm gonna feel something later if
I know. When he started going into his story, he's like, "Well, I was young and I just imagine a reenactment."
Yeah, I mean, I probably still have some of the same T-shirts I wore, so I could just reenact it. Yeah,
There was definitely.
And I grew up in the area, so I could totally location and everything. Sorry, go ahead.
No, there's definitely a line when you got to. For me, it felt like it was middle school, 7th, 8th grade, where it was all right, we're stopping with the cartoons, we're stopping with the comics, and we're oh look, alcohol and girls and all that shit, and I was just yeah, but Star Wars. Okay, I can watch Star Wars again. What are you guys doing? Fuck you guys. This is boring.
Were you having like those like conversations like this about topics when you were in middle school?
So, like at that point, which I had my younger brother had gotten into Cub Scouts, and so I'd went to a couple of their meetings or whatever they had every week, their get-togethers, and learn how to do shit. And they were going to start a Boy Scout troop, and I'm like, oh, I'm not doing anything. Let me get into that. And then the group of friends that I made in there were all fucking like hardcore nerds too, and we kind of like, oh, you like that? Oh, I like that. Oh, you like that? Oh, I like that. And like that little core moved from, it shielded me from middle school into like the first couple of years of high school, where I could, I was safe in that little cluster of friends, but like we all kind of drifted away like mid high school. So I was like in the wilderness by myself because I was introvert, loner. And that shit was like, you could feel that, like, oh, you still watch that shit? Oh,
No.
you carrying around this Star Wars book? Like, you read that? Like, isn't that little kid stuff? Like, that was definitely, like, it wasn't fun.
Yeah, so along those lines, I luckily, in my complete nerd growing up, I didn't hold on to the childish stuff until like maybe in high school. I kind of started leaning back into it. Like, I think I used to bring my Legos to school because I was generally just bored in class and just would play with my Legos. But like for me, middle school was when I moved on into playing Warhammer, Blood Bowl, Dungeons and Dragons, like our tabletop RPGs. So it was like full on nerd stuff, and not necessarily like going back, because even like, I mean, I still like the Ninja Turtles, but I wasn't going out of my way to like go watch the old cartoons or anything like that. I think our friend Jigger was really into Star Wars, and I think he's the one that kind of made me realize, like, Star Wars is pretty badass. Like, so Star Wars might have been the one thing that I held on to, where like, oh, I'm going to rewatch some Star Wars, and eventually they re-released them, the special editions and everything like that. So
But when did you realize you were a Trekkie?
Oh, I'm just like ever since I was born. My dad took me to like those movies, and we watched those all the time. But
It's a Trekkie. Again, reenactment up here. We just need to act it out. Amniotic fluid and all that. Naked, fully.
That was the same thing for me though. Like, my dad introduced me to The Next Generation. Like, we would watch those shows together, and I had the first 3 Star Wars movies on a VHS, like 1, 2, and 3, or 4, 5, and 6, and I would just watch the shit out of all of them over and over and over again. And he's like, oh, you like sci-fi? Watch this show.
I know we've gone over this a number of times, but I'm more peripherally aware of like all the things nerdum, like as far as Star Wars and Star Trek, and I didn't grow up reading comic books, and not that it wasn't like accessible or wasn't affordable. I just, I was, like I looked up to my bigger brother, and our main nerd realm was movies. Surprise, surprise. But, I think minus like the internet, I wasn't really, you hear some fun facts and things, and I like kind of glommed onto those things. But, I was watching like my cartoons, and that was my introduction to some of that nerd realm, some of that offshoot stuff. But growing up, like I still was, still interested in it, and was running theater. Like I think middle school is a good telling point of like, oh, I think I'm liking this beyond just a childhood thing. When you're starting to like run theories like, no. If Spider-Man did this, you're just like really standing on business with your shit. I think when you're passionate about a topic, whatever fucking thing it is, you go, if you're standing on business about nerd stuff, you may be a nerd. Like, if you've been playing card games, well, you may be a nerd. Card games, I think, is also one that's very telling of like realizing that you're a nerd above other normies and stuff. But there are like some mainstream stuff that like everybody was playing it more than others. But when you heard people was playing like Magic the Gathering, I'm like, ooh.
fuck yeah, they were the coolest people in the school, right? Yeah.
D&D and all that shit.
Whipping their decks out.
Which I would never had a group to get into that, but
D&D feels like the gold star.
If I had a group, I think I probably would have played the shit out of that.
Back then, though, D&D was still just like, there was big sections of the population that were still part of that satanic panic. It was
You're
still very
worshiping
much
the
like
devil.
witchcraft stuff.
You ever watch Stranger Things where they kind of like elaborate on that?
Yeah. Magic the Gathering was an interesting one because that came out technically there were editions out before this one, but the first edition, which I think was fourth edition, that was mainstream and kind of sold in malls, that came out shortly after like Pogs kind of disappeared. Pogs disappeared because a lot of schools banned it for gambling and stuff. You remember Jordan? We played the shit out of Pogs, meeting up after school in someone's like corner. And it was funny because Pogs had no sort of like nerd attachment to it. Every kid was just playing Pogs, right? And then Magic came out and there was that kind of talk of like, this is going to be the next Pogs. And it wasn't because it was fucking nerdy, right? Because there were some people that were just, as soon as you saw a goblin or an orc spells and stuff like that, there was just like, nope, that's nerd stuff.
My extent of card game was Yu-Gi-Oh! I was decent at it. I can't play it. I remember my nephew got into it a couple years ago, and whatever decks they have now, it's like 3 paragraphs worth of stuff. I'm not reading that. Whatever it is, not reading. I'm not playing the fucking game. Because my the stuff back in the day was like a 3-sentence thing, a trick or two there, and this was like a whole essay. I'm not. Who's playing this?
Yeah.
Fuck.
Jermaine, did you pick that shit up all the way through your childhood and into adulthood, or did you put it down at some point and then come back to it?
I picked it up and I never put it down.
From day one, huh?
So
Day one.
it's just one of those things like
Stand on business.
I feel like you guys had like a lot of influences, while you were growing up. But it was when I came to America, like there was really nobody that was, like into that type of stuff. Like I didn't have like an older, sister. I do have older sisters and older brothers, but they weren't like into that type of stuff. So it all became me. But I knew that I was hooked on that stuff. Of course, watching your cartoons in the morning before school and all that stuff, and you never stopped, from like, of course, Thundercats, Silverhawks, like Bots Master and Mighty Max, Bucky O'Hare, all that stuff. But it was one of those things, you watched it weekly. Then you had your Saturday morning cartoons, but it was for our generation. Like, I feel like if you were really into something, like you were committed, because it's not like this, this day and age where you can watch something later, or, you can like let the episodes accumulate.
Oh yeah,
Back then you had to
Appointment television.
you had to tune in.
You missed the episode, it's
when
gone forever.
When it came on. But for me, like I really knew that I was different growing up because everybody was kind of evolving into watching like
90210.
yeah, Melrose Place, 90210, all those like getting into MTV, like the Real World and all this other stuff. But I stuck to like my Power Rangers. Like I wasn't really into any of that stuff. Like it was either like my my Bruce Lee movies, my Jet Li movies, or like my foreign kung fu movies. All those little like underground era that like you had to like know somebody to kind of like get like a VHS or a DVD because it was like a movie that nobody really heard of.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things like I never put it down, and it was just one of those things like I just knew growing up like I was like it was a thing that was instilled in me, and to this day like I can't put it down. Like I buy like my figures and my comics and all that kind of stuff. Still watch my anime. I watch my kung fu movies, and as things evolve, like you get new things. Like Avatar: The Last Airbender. Like every generation has like its golden era, which I feel like I'm always gonna be like that cool adult. Because like when your parents get speak for yourself. When your parents get older, or when they were younger, they listen to their specific generation of music.
Yeah.
And as things, evolved and transformed, they stopped listening to the new stuff.
Right.
But I feel like because because it's embedded in me, like it's in my DNA, that I'm always gonna be, on like the heartbeat of it.
Yeah.
I
Like
think
for
that
every
cutting edge of all
generation
that shit.
They do say
That's
like
great.
there's a biological reason for that, as far as like the dopamine in your brain. Like as you get older, nostalgia becomes a bigger like dopamine hit, where when you're younger, new stuff is.
Yeah.
But so I always wondered that too. Like growing up, like how do old people suddenly stop listening to modern music? Like when did they go to the oldies? But then now it's like I'm still listening to new music, but most of the new music I listen to is kind of has an old school vibe to it, or even like newer cartoons or something like that. If it's a newer cartoon that has an old school vibe, like I'm in it. I'd much rather watch something new. I'm not a big go back and rewatch like old stuff person, but
Off topic. How does it make you feel that like late '90s music is classic rock?
oh, every once in a while when I hear one of those like oldies or something like something get called
Nirvana,
oldies,
yeah.
it's like
You're listening to the classic rock station, and so, like some shit comes on from your,
And that classic
school
rock
days,
from
I'm like,
the
what the fuck,
30 years
classic?
ago, Nirvana.
that is
Yeah.
that's a
But it's
classic.
more so
I cut you off though.
it's more so the high schoolers now that are having like 90s
Oh,
parties.
full 90s,
yeah.
yeah.
You're like, name a song.
yeah. But to your point, I mean, toys never really went away, but our generation, especially, like so many of those shows we watched were built around selling toys. So like once you were hooked, and if you were into it, Thundercats, G.I. Joe, Ninja Turtles, any of them, like not only were you watching the show daily or weekly, whenever they came out, like you said, you had to get home, you had to watch it, but you were also saving your allowance or whatever and getting the toys, and you were playing with those toys, like that stuff, if you were into it, could really encompass like your life.
Yeah.
And to the point where like I remember the toys more than the shows really at this point. Like I don't remember specific episodes of G.I. Joe or Thundercats or any of them, but I remember the toys, and I remember the stories I would tell myself and the make myself and the way we played the toys and everything like that.
We weren't, we were like, we were poor. And so, like, I didn't have, like, a big collection of toys or, like, the collectible toys or anything like that.
Samesies.
Cheers to that. But I remember watching, like, hold on. And the memories fade away. I remember,
With the pain.
like, watching Beast Wars at the time. Like, Transformers was sort of like, I remember maybe seeing the movie, but I didn't grow up with Transformers, but I grew up with Beast Wars. I remember saving my money up and getting like the Optimal Primus or whatever the fuck it was, and vehicle mode. And remember that was my head on my little corner of a dresser. I had my the different Beast Wars stuff and some Spider-Man stuff, and whatever corner of the wall I could put some stuff up, which I still have. I still have my little Spider-Man watching over my living room.
That's so
from
cool.
back when I was a kid.
Yeah, I actually just added my old Green Lantern to our studio here from when I was a kid.
Aw.
Yeah.
Man,
Jordan.
The
Before he was racist.
the few toys that I got, like I beat the shit out of those things playing with them.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Oh, man.
I absolutely just
Yeah.
went ham. And like looking back at them, like fuck, like I had a whole Castle Grayskull playset that I just like Godzilla that shit. Like yeah, having so much fun, but just beat the shit out of it. I'm like, damn, I wish I had like been like a little bit more conscious of
My shits were pristine.
having that shit.
I was
I have
middle of that.
all the weapons for my Ninja Turtles, like every piece.
Oh,
I wasn't losing nothing.
I lost
Because it was
arms,
one of those
legs.
things- because I was
Didn't
that,
take it for granted.
I did. I really did.
well, that's not even for granted. It's
Oh, you're just a bad
just
person,
because
sorry.
you get it and you know you're not gonna get another one.
Right, right, yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was like
Yeah.
like how like most kids, like well not most, but I made sure that I put my shit up. So it was like I knew where it was.
Yeah.
All my weapons. Like if I ever lost anything, I'm like, oh,
I think that's why I still keep the boxes of all my like 5 variations of iPhones and stuff.
Same thing. I mean, I played pretty rough with my toys. I got some stories. I'll tell them in a little bit. But for the most part, yeah, losing stuff. Like I was always pretty big on like, no, they go back in this. Like I don't want to lose parts or whatever.
Nice.
And maybe because my brother and I earned an allowance through doing chores, and then we would go buy the stuff ourselves. I think maybe that helped. But I was always shocked. Like when I was working at the high school, sometimes students would ask to like borrow a Blu-ray or something that I had, or even like PlayStation games. And yeah, sure, bring it back. And it'd be like come back scratched, like, oh well, I lost the case. And I was just like, how does like I would be so confused. I'd be like, I have never like scratched a game. I like might have scratched one CD like in my life. Like how does this happen? Like, I don't know. It's like
We all
never
had that
again
one
will you
friend.
borrow.
We lived in an apartment complex in Whittier, South Whittier, and my upstairs neighbor, like, his dad could get him. He was like an only child, so his dad got him all the video games. I remember we'd go play video games, and he just have like open just discs kind of strewn about and scratched up. He's like, "Damn it, this was not working." And he's the kind of kid that would get mad at losing at a game and like bash his controller. I'm like, oh, what?
Yeah.
Like, my dad's gonna buy me another one. I'm like, what the fuck does that mean?
Jesus. Thank God I never really had friends like that. Yeah.
Ricky.
I knew people like that.
I had a friend so I lived in Illinois when I was 18 to 19. And I had a friend that I met out there that had the Resident Evil, the first one. I had started with 2. I was like, oh, you have Resident Evil. Can I borrow it? And he's like, yeah, but make sure you get that back to me and make sure it's in good condition. I'm like, yeah, of course. And I played through it and then I moved back to California and I took it with me.
Oh, shit.
Oh,
And I
you're
did,
that.
and I didn't really like. I wasn't consciously trying to take it, but I got home and like unpacked. I'm like, oh shit, I still have this game.
Apologize now. He's watching.
Seriously.
I'm like, he's
Yeah.
never
Stalking
getting.
Seething,
I was like, yeah, he's never getting this back. I was like,
sharpening
oh,
his knives. Go ahead, let camera apologize to
I
him.
honestly don't remember his name.
Don't look at me. Look
okay.
at the
If you're in
He's just
Illinois,
like, oh, he's okay. Just crosses him off the list. You mentioned something earlier of like the like niche stuff when you discover something that maybe that doesn't have a giant following, nobody knows about. There was a little dopamine hit that I remember getting. Mine specifically, you will know this. This was for me. It was freshman year when I discovered Tenacious D. Now, and then maybe not go into the whole nerd realm stuff, but like there's just something about it that felt kind of nerdy to me because it's like stemming from their own lore and shit like that. Their old HBO shows. But I want you guys to talk about like what were those niche sort of underground things that you discovered where you're like, wait, oh, that's mainstream. You discovered the term mainstream, maybe.
I don't know if I ever really. I mean, I've always been into like kind of weird stuff. It helped. Like my uncle lived with us for a little bit. And he's like 10 years older than me. So, when I was 10, he was like 20. So 20-year-old dude's like, oh, let's watch this movie. Like, I think he introduced me to like Road Warrior and Mad Max and
Nice.
stuff like that, which
Yeah.
certainly 10, 11-year-olds at that time, because those movies were older, probably didn't know or didn't see. And I was like, fuck yeah, Road Warrior. Like, oh, I was totally into that kind of stuff. And, I think I would watch a lot of like old wrestling, like old like early WrestleManias, old like old SummerSlams and stuff too, like decades prior to what like the current stuff was at that time. So that felt pretty niche. Like horror sometimes too. Like I had a friend that had a big VHS selection, and we'd kind of would get into that stuff. I guess it was still kind of mainstream, the horror, but it was like
Yeah.
not everyone was a big horror fan.
Right,
back then.
right.
Yeah, and we were watching for the boobs.
To answer your question, I need to ask Jermaine something.
To boobs.
Jermaine, when did you come to Dragon Ball?
To boobs. Oh.
When did you come to anime and specifically Dragon Ball?
Well,
Though?
specifically, Dragon Ball was probably
Came to it last night.
like my junior high. Like I knew of Dragon Ball, but it wasn't one of those things that I could get like my hands on yet at that time,
Yeah.
or there wasn't anything yet that was showing Dragon Ball like on TV at that time. So I had a buddy who actually used to record them on VHS. So I used to borrow his VHS that was strictly in Japanese with no subtitles, and I would sit there and just watch.
Yeah.
Like that's how like hardcore I was, because it wasn't,
That's cool.
you couldn't get Dragon Ball anywhere at that specific time. Like it wasn't showing out here anywhere. So if you knew of it, it was because somebody somehow knew somebody that was either Japanese, or you just saw like the artwork at the time and you were just curious to say, what is this? But to have like a streaming service or,
Yeah.
something that was showing it, no, it wasn't anywhere at that time.
Those first introductions to anime, just because, I mean, like, Ninja Turtles, G.I. Joe, all that stuff looked cool. But, like, I think Akira was the first, like, anime that I really saw. And I just remember, like, someone put that on. I was just like, what the hell? Like, a cartoon can do all this? And
Stuff like that I didn't watch till like 10 years ago. 5 years ago, but but it's also that thing is like I didn't know a lot of people that were into it enough to go like you guys. If I knew you guys then, you'd have been like, what haven't you seen? Here's give me a list, So I'm just trying to I was sort of clunkily discovering stuff organically, but at the time, Cartoon Network was like my hub whenever we happened to have cable or satellite, The Cartoon Network, they had not Toonami, whatever, like the
Adult Swim?
No, not Adult Swim. Like that was its own thing. But whatever anime after school,
Wasn't it Toonami?
it was Toonami.
Yeah.
It had like Inuyasha and Cowboy Bebop,
Yeah.
and like it was, and which would also be part of Adult Swim. But like all those anime things were just embedded in my brain. So like I got fed Dragon Ball on a silver platter. I love Dragon Ball. I got fed on a silver platter, and I had to search for it.
Cartoon Network, I feel like, had that cool little moment where they were just like rocking some good shit. I didn't watch too much of it, but I was aware of it, and I was just like, somehow it's a mainstream network, but it felt so like not mainstream.
They made an Aqua Teen Hunger Force movie. I don't think there's anything Adult Swim that they would have made into a movie nowadays, which
Yeah.
I haven't rewatched, which I want to get hyped with you guys and maybe like revisit that or something sometime soon. It's just gonna be
I remember.
garbage.
Shit, was it? It was like 17, 18 years old when I came to Dragon Ball for the first time, and I'm like, what the fuck is this shit? And like
Yeah.
realizing that like, oh, this is the anime shit that I've seen before because I've
It
seen.
was like 95, 96 for me.
Do you want to hear when it actually aired in Japan and all that shit?
I'm looking at it now
Yeah.
too. Yeah,
Fucking it premiered April 26, 1989.
crazy.
Dragon Ball Z. The original Dragon Ball was even earlier than that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it ran all the way till 96.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What's the math on that?
So
So I didn't get it
I
till
wasn't paying attention. Sorry.
84 to now,
so 97 to like
Oh, to
2000.
now?
41 years.
Like those 3
I was
years.
watching this bootleg in
I did math.
95 and 96. Like it was just like the VH, those fucking VHSs. Damn, I would consume them shits.
The first thing I remember, the first anime I ever remember seeing was Robotech, though. And I can't remember where the hell I came across it, but I remember seeing it and going, oh, this is fucking cool. Didn't realize it was called, Macross in Japan until years later. Because I'm like, what the fuck? Like, because I remember, like, as soon as the internet became a thing, I'm like, oh, let me start looking up all the shit that I like. Like Robotech, Macross. What the fuck is Macross? Oh, there's a whole shift from, Japan to the US and renaming and re-editing and all that shit. I'm like, okay, cool.
It's not a real true reenactment of you looking that up. It'd be like, "Wee, wee, wee, wee," and then the next thing.
Yeah. It was so,
Yeah, I remember. I can speak
I was
the
on the
language.
phone. Get off the internet.
Oh my god, can I tell a story real quick?
sure.
So we had the phone line plugged in and all that shit, and I'm like in the AOL chat rooms and shit, talking and all that stuff.
ASL.
And my fucking mom had a friend who would come over and hang out, and I'm like, I don't like you. Like, go away. And she'd be like, oh, can I use the phone? And I'm like, I'm on the fucking internet. Like, can you not? And she would just get off so she can make her calls, and I'd get off, and I'd be fucking sitting there. I was a sulky ass kid, and fucking like waiting for like waiting for her to get off the phone so I could reconnect to the internet. And fucking like she would be taking so long, I would just fucking start connecting.
Nice.
So it would pick up the phone line. It would do the auto dialer, and then it would hang up because she's on the phone. But it would make those, and I just keep doing it over and over again until she got off the fucking phone. I'm like, go to your own house and use your phone, goddammit.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
Do you remember DSL? I remember my mind being blown. Like, wait, you could be on the internet and on the phone at the same time? Oh man, we're in the future.
I was such a snobby asshole with DSL though.
Really?
So,
How?
because DSL came out at the same time as cable,
Okay.
but cable was a fuck ton faster and better
Oh.
than DSL. DSL was a little bit cheaper, but DSL would like because there was very little regulations, it was high speed internet, but the difference was insane. It was DSL was faster than dial up, but like so people would tell me like, oh, I got high speed, and I'd be like, oh, what you get? DSL. I'm like. Pfft.
You got them dick sucking lips.
You've never changed.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, I think I was more just mad because I know the companies were selling it as like top of the line, and it was like it wasn't top of the line, and cable wasn't that much more, and so it was like I think I wasn't necessarily giving the person shit for having DSL. It was more of a matter of like I wish you would have asked me. Like there was a few people in my life that would have been like, you were getting tech stuff. I'm the nerd. You should have asked me, and I would have told you got cable because it's like 10 times faster than DSL.
But you know what we had before dial-up and before DSL? Web TV.
Oh, yeah.
Do you guys remember Web TV?
No.
So this is before like computers were just sort of like, everyone had it. It was household available. It was basically like this box, a modem, whatever. You sit on top of your TV, and you'd have a wireless or wired keyboard. I forget. There wasn't even a mouse or anything like that. And it gave you your TV was the monitor.
I think
Remember the big old TVs and shit like that? And there was nothing to go research. Like I don't remember looking up anything. Maybe like a page that had like songs that were sounding like 8-bit. Hotel California is the first time I heard it on there. But there wasn't really anything.
Early internet was weird. I know I've talked about this before, but I think the first movie to have a web page was Star Trek Generations. But fuck, I was gonna say something. Oh no, I was gonna say the weird thing about not having internet when we were younger, especially with this nerd stuff, is I remember going to the toy store, Toys R Us, shout out, and seeing like crossovers. I think I remember seeing like a Transformers and Robotech crossover at one point in the toys. It's like I didn't even know what Robotech was. It looked cool as shit, like toy wise, but it was like with no internet to look it up. It was very much just like, I guess it's a thing. Like, I mean, eventually, you might look at the magazines and find something or whatever. But
I remember
certainly a different world than now, where any question you have the answer to.
When the internet was like readily available, and I remember it still being dial up. Cheat Code Central, because at the time I was playing a lot of video games and stuff like that, and Cheat Code Central, remember that? cheatcc.com?
Mine was GameFAQs.
I just saw a post today on Threads, and it was like someone was saying, "Why are walkthroughs now all videos? I don't want to watch a fucking video. I want to read it."
Yeah,
and someone
give me a
said like,
text block and I'll fucking go
someone
through
said like,
that.
shout out to the people that on GameFAQs that used to write the 500-word walkthrough just purely for the love of the game. They weren't trying to make money or anything for themselves.
I remember when they were. What was the magazine? Game Informer.
Game Informer's trying to make a comeback, but there's been a few.
My brother had a subscription to Game Informer, and they had the walkthroughs that were just like perfectly in there.
Yeah.
God damn.
I mean, don't get me going on magazines. I think that it's so sad that medium is dying.
Bringing it back to the being a nerd growing up. You can cut this out if you want. If you don't want this information out there. Oh no! Don't.
Where's my shit? Go ahead.
When was your first exposure? No, wait for it. Wait for it. It's after the two. When was your first exposure to hentai?
I think as soon as the internet was born.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, there was I'm like, what the fuck is this? I was like, oh, there's a whole category. There's a whole.
Thank you for finishing that.
There's people that draw this shit, and I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, let's go.
I remember an older family friend. He was in anime and like Final Fantasy and everything, and he was like, like I like metal and like what that? Not Marilyn Monroe. Oh my god,
Baywatch?
No, what's the Marilyn Manson? Dear God!
Wow,
That was a fucking left turn for
Wow,
me.
it really was.
I'm sorry.
I was going through like a Rolodex.
He like
of
listening to
girls.
Marilyn Manson and playing like Final Fantasy, and then he's like, "Hey, you ever heard of hentai?" I'm like, "What's hentai?" He's like, "You watch anime?" I'm like, "Yeah, like Dragon Ball." He's like, "Yeah, it's like that, but they're naked." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, here's this VHS called La Blue Girl."
The Blue Girl. That was like one of the first ones that I think that hit America.
I would feel like, come over here, sit on my lap while you watch it.
He was that much older.
Fuck.
Shout out, Big Isaac. His name was Isaac also.
I couldn't remember the name of it, but as soon as you said it, that was it. I think that was the one that hit.
He was tall, and we would always call him Big Isaac.
I'm sure that's why you call him Big Isaac.
It's why.
I'm
He's
sure.
a nice
I'm sure that's it because he was
guy,
tall.
God, we have to go there. Continue, Doug.
Oh no, I couldn't remember the name of it, but as soon as you said it, it's like, yeah, that must. I'm sure we can look it up and it'd probably be like that was the first
Because
like
I know
one to
that
hit
fool
the
was like
American
the puppet
shores.
master. He was a ventriloquist. Big Isaac got all up in got all up in little Isaac.
Motherfucker playing Cave
The
Explorer.
Blue Girl VHS. Oh shit, that's funny.
So try to bring us back a little bit more on growing up nerd. You know, you touched on it at the beginning about how we grew up in a time when it wasn't accepted, and I remember always being so like questioning of that because one, it was just like what the hell else is everyone else doing with their time? Like I was so content with my video games, making D&D characters. Like I was meeting up with my friends. Like it wasn't like I was some like loser loner. Like I was hanging out with my friends, like all night slumber parties, playing D&D and stuff like that. So I mean I do like I think it was in high school where maybe I started facing a little bit more direct confrontation with my nerdness, and I remember just like questioning, like, because you just play video games all day. I'm like, yeah, what the fuck do you do? And we watch TV, and it's like, that's fucking worse. Like, sitting around watching TV all day is like, at least video gaming, I'm like developing skills or playing a story or something like that. Like, and I'm with my friends, especially once online gaming became a thing. But I remember always just being so like I said, yeah, I guess defensive of it because people were so like anti-nerd and it was just like it's just a thing to do and like listening to what other people did during the weekend it was just like that sounds boring as shit and like somehow I'm the worst one because I sat and played like board games and played video games all day with my friends like while you guys dicked around and did fucking nothing. By nothing I mean like bang.
But because
Coitus.
but because well for me. Because I was a nerd, you know, like that got me into certain things. But as we get older, I noticed, you know, like a lot of people kind of fell off, like, you know, certain things that we used to do, like when we were little kids or, you know, they were into certain things. But they're not anymore. And also, as we do get older, I do notice a lot of people don't really have, like, hobbies. Like a lot of people get bored, like they don't have anything to do. I'm like, to add to what Doug is saying, in my head I'm like, how? Because it's like there's
so much shit.
Yeah, there's so many avenues of everything, and then especially when older people, and we're getting to that age pretty soon, but when they talk about retiring and like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm like, bro, you is crazy because there's...
I feel like slapping him, right?
Yeah,
You can finally catch up on my Netflix queue for
free time.
starters.
I could finally watch all episodes of One Piece. Yes, I'm going to wait till I retire.
There you go.
I fucking tried. I gave up halfway of the first season.
But the one thing,
much.
the one thing for me though, like finding out and, you know, just being, you know, like a nerd person or just liking that type of stuff, for me in the beginning era of that, especially when everything kind of started, when a lot of things really wasn't mainstream, like I was kind of like a nerd, like for the lack of a better term, but like a crackhead, because you would have to go hunt things down.
Get that fixed.
I can see that for you.
Because it was just one of those things, like you couldn't.
You got that sci-fi, little fantasy.
You couldn't, you know, turn on the TV and go find that anime or that kung fu thing. So you had to
Or
kind
you'd have to
of
wait till like super late at night or something to catch it.
maybe if that, but you had to find like some hole in the wall place, and you kind of had to talk to people to, you know, like. That was when you started to kind of find out like who was who of like your friends, because that was like the internet kind of sharing information and actually having physical media and actually giving it to somebody.
Yeah.
That was probably for me my favorite time, but that was when you really got to see the scale of like, okay, this person is like really on that level, because it was, you know, those things where you started to talk about things that nobody else, was really watching at the time. Like, I know you guys all mentioned like Akira, but it was like Ghost in the Shell.
Oh yeah.
You had like a lot of what was it, like Vampire Hunter D, Ninja Scroll that you guys watched or that we all watched. But
That
it was
fun.
like a bunch of stuff that you don't hear in mainstream that you're just like, oh, now when I go to this store or this bootleg video place, you have to look for that stuff because you wasn't getting it anywhere.
Well, sometimes even like going to the comic book stores back then, they'd be playing something like that. I'd be like, "What is that?"
Yeah.
And every once in a while, you'll still go to a comic book store and they'll have some random anime on or something, some random movie on, and I'll just be standing there like, because it is that kind of bringing me back to the day of where you would communicate with people, right? You go to a comic book store and the guys working there know their shit, or the other people there, and everyone was so happy to kind of like, "Oh, you should check this one out. Check this one out." Now it's like, no, don't talk to me. I got my list. I found it online.
I still remember generally first meeting you guys. I remember having the first conversation with you, and I think it was you, Dave, it might have been Jermaine, and I heard you guys talking nerd
What's my
stuff.
government name on here?
God, Rachel asked me the other day if I remember the first time I met you, and I'm like, fuck, I don't remember.
I
Did I
thought
show
we
a
met
picture
on
of my
the
testicles?
She did say that. She's like, wasn't it the time he
Probably.
came and like started showing everyone pictures of his balls? I'm like,
Even still, like a couple
it
weeks
could have
ago,
been.
I met somebody new and I was like, "You got tattoos? Let me tell you about my tattoos. I have butt tattoos. I still do that shit now. It's funny.
hold on, before you get into your story. Sadly, I've never saw the picture of your testicles. Like, I missed that whole.
I'll have to try to dig and find them.
Keyword, he said, sadly.
No, yeah, it was actually kind of impressive because it was these style shot glasses like pushed together, and I like just got each testicle in there.
That is impressive.
The Heidi and Frank
Must
ones, and then
very
like a whole
hot.
crowd of like 300
somehow,
people saw them.
somehow I just missed that.
Somehow the testicles have returned.
We really got to get that Hypotech After Dark Patreon going here. That's a $5 tip.
When Isaac finds a picture, they will go here.
Yeah.
It's got to be somewhere. Shit. No, but I still remember the conversation. This one I realized, like, I was this nerdling, and you guys were like this full form nerd. You guys had figured it out because I wasn't really around the people that knew
Fully
all the
erect
things. Can I get to my story?
Go ahead.
You nearly adopted
Sorry.
to the nerdness.
Molded by it.
And I remember, I think it was something about, I don't remember specifically, it might have been like Green Lantern or something like that. And I was like, oh yeah, comic books, right? Because every other person in any other drinking party setting would be like, yeah, I watched the TV show, I watched the movie. And that was like the basis. That was about the extent of it. And you guys were like, I remember you going like, oh yeah, I liked this comic because of this guy, and then the other Green Lanterns, and then the artist, and I go, oh, he knows the artist, like he's an actual nerd. This is what it's like, and I felt, and it was nice because it was nice to not know a lot of stuff, and then just get fucking schooled. You know what I mean? And then
Just
here we
get-
are years later.
Spit roasted Green Lantern style.
Yeah.
Anyways, anybody
There's like
else?
7 human ones.
What the fuck? Jesus Christ!
They have way too many
The
human Green
episode, you just
Lanterns.
come in
Yeah.
horny as hell.
Yeah.
But I mean, like,
I'm sorry.
I might have, even what's,
Bitch, I'm sorry.
What sucks, like, in as far as my life personally is, I didn't have enough.
Do we have that much time? Oh, okay.
Fuck right off. I didn't have enough influence, other people like you guys to be like, oh, here, we read this thing, watch this thing, da 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 da. And I was just, I remember growing up and I was kind of like, for the most part, like lazy about it. Like if it wasn't on a Cartoon Network and somebody wasn't handing me a VHS of hentai, like probably
Yeah,
wasn't
he was
looking
one of
out
them.
to go. I'm this
He
middle
didn't
grade-
have that mutant DNA in him to be like,
Exactly, because the way that you guys are talking about it, I was like, damn, I really do wish that I had that. And I kind of feel that I sort of missed my chance. You know what I mean? I know we joked about it, like, I think it was like last season. I go, oh, dude, if I get fired from my job, like, I'm totally going to explore. You're like, hey, be more positive. I go, if I fucking get some kind of deathly illness, I'm then going full force into like whatever nerd realm, exploring all the things, starting from like the things queued up on Netflix to just absolutely everything that we talk about, all the shows and movies and comic books that I write down on my list, knowing that I'll never fucking actually explore them. Yeah, one of these days I'll do that.
See, but growing up, well, I'm gonna speak for myself, maybe a little bit of Rudy too, but growing up like that, trying to go hunt things down, and then you're into so much different media, you know, from comic books, you know, to mangas, you know, anime, movies, you know, from like TV shows, you know, to like let's go with Power Rangers. But all that stuff, kind of diving like head on into all that stuff, you know, yes, it was a lot. Plus, you know, you were still going outside, you know, playing or whatever, playing with your action figures. That stuff kind of
Outside.
prepared us for like this day and age, because there's so much material out there. But I feel like I said, you know, which I've probably said it many a times, but I will never like kind of forget like the roots, you know, of where you came from like listening to people, you know, who are like us, you know, about, you know, like watch this, watch that.
Yeah.
I really kind of stay away from mainstream. Besides like the movies, like I know you go to the movies a lot and hit, you know, like damn near everything. But for me, there's just so many hidden gems out there that like you really kind of have to go
Yeah.
seek it out, you know, like go back and like hunt, look up stuff. With my algorithm now, like I'll have things pop up and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out. Because it's one of those things that when I used to buy movies, it wasn't even rent, because at these certain places, like you just walk in and you look at, you know, this, let's say like it was a Japanese, you know, movie, but it was like a live action, you know, martial arts or kung fu movies. There was a point where you couldn't really watch a trailer at that time.
Oh yeah.
You just go in and you're like,
Yeah.
okay, this one looks good. And it's almost like a 50-50. So there's a lot of movies that you get where you're like, oh, that was trash, but these are good.
Something fun to that.
But it was just that era was just different.
Well, to add on to that, I would say a big part of being a nerd, even now, well, I mean, now it's easy to be a nerd because everything's fucking nerdy, but to be like a real nerd, or the kind of nerd that I think Jermaine is alluding to, is you can't be afraid to try something different, right? And to your point, where it's like you almost just ignore the mainstream, and like it's about that person that like, oh, you should watch this Akira movie. It's like, oh, it's a cartoon, yeah, fucking watch it, right? It's about taking that moment, even like in comic books, of just like, yeah, of course, there's all the big Supermans and Batmans, but you know, there's that like Image comic, which was new at the time when we were a kid. You know, oh, Spawn, who's this? And or those more random movies, and same thing, going to the video store and renting something. I remember, you know, that was something me and my friends did, you know, mostly every Friday, because we were all hanging out. But sometimes it would be a matter of picking a movie that wasn't one of the big blockbusters. It'd just be like, let's pick this random one. And you know what? Sometimes it sucked. Sometimes it was so bad that we could all sit there and laugh at it, and it turns, you know, it makes it a thing. Like, but I think that's a big part of it. Or look at even recently, like us checking out like Hundreds of Beavers, or I watched like The People's Joker. So like those fun little independent movies are still around. That again, they're not very mainstream, but if you pay enough attention to like the indie scene, you can find these like cool nerdy things that kind of still give you that little like hit of like, yeah, I found this cool thing that, you know, not everyone's talking about.
Yeah.
Because I would say, like, not to sound like such a fucking hipster or whatever you want to say, like the fact that some of the nerd stuff is so mainstream is almost frustrating, because a lot of people have opinions on it that, like, I'm not gatekeeping, right? Anybody can watch something, anybody can have an opinion on something, obviously, but I don't know. I kind of just miss when the conversations were like very nerdy and people knew what they were talking about, and there wasn't much outside influence to it, and there wasn't rage baiting or anything like that. Like just people having a good conversation in the comic book store.
You had those conversations. Like I remember all the conversations back then. Like it's not like the nerd and geek and like the breakdowns. Like it wasn't really like how it is this day and age. You know, like everybody's trying to break down, you know, like a trailer, or they're, you know, talking about I'm not shitting on anybody in this group, but like how things are filmed and the lighting and all that kind of stuff.
Or the constant fucking quest for Easter eggs that people do now.
Yeah. So like our conversations back in the day was like it was about the action scene. Like you're diving into like a specific, you know, thing that caught your attention in the movie, or like the littlest thing, you know, like something that was just epic in the movie. Like it was that conversation because, you know, you talking about it, you know, in your little circle, like everybody's getting hyped because everybody's chiming in on that same thing. Like, yeah, like, man, when he did that, you know, that was a different era, different time than what we have now. But I feel like it's those type of conversations I feel don't really happen like as often because of like how things are viewed and broken down like nowadays.
Yeah, I think the existence of just what the internet's doing, plus just the movies themselves, with everything being a little bit more CG and a little bit over the top. For me, action sequence, even though like on paper, you know, you see a modern action sequence or something, and it's like, yeah, that was supposed to be cool, right? That's how I usually say. It's like, I get it, that was supposed to be cool.
Yeah.
It wasn't, because it was way too much assistance from computers and stuff like that. Versus back in the day when it was someone actually doing a flip, maybe with wires or something like that, and.
But like especially with like the martial arts films though, like especially with martial arts and the kung fu, like when I was watching those Jackie Chan movies, those Bruce Lee movies, like it wasn't like filmed like a John Wick movie. I'm not shitting on John Wick. Like John Wick,
as you should.
You leave part one alone. All the other ones go ahead.
Love it. But it was just an era of like when Barry Gordon's The Last Dragon came out and like Bruce Leroy caught that bullet with his teeth. Like it was one of those things like you were just shocked because, you know, one, the guy shot him, but he had a gun, you know, but he shot him one time. You know, like it was just this legend that was in this thing. Like once you get the golden glow, you know, you can catch bullets. But it was like a premonition that somebody said, you know, Bruce Leroy catching bullets with his teeth, and we're pleased. But it was one of those, you know, movies.
You can say it on here. He'll you know.
So at the end of the movie, the bad guy, you know, has the handgun, and he could have shot him multiple times. You know what I'm saying? But he shot him that one time, and he, you know, flails and, you know, drops to the ground. But it was one of those things like where you were watching this movie and you're like, oh man, he like really got shot. But then he turns around and smiles to the camera, and you see the bullet in his teeth with the little golden like shot. But it was just one of those things like when you have those conversations, man, like I'm getting emotional right now. But it was like when you have those conversations and you're like, man, when he turned around and he smiled and he had that bullet in his, like, man, like that era will never be repeated, like ever.
Sorry, have you ever seen that movie?
No.
I don't think I've
Barry
seen.
Gordon's
There's a
Last
lot
Dragon?
of those movies I haven't seen.
That I just saw that they're re-releasing that shit for like its 25th or 30th anniversary. I'm like,
go
go
watch
watch
it.
that.
Like it's a cult classic. Like it became a cult classic, but they kind of shitted on it when it came out. Neo before Neo.
Nice.
I will say that.
You said I could bite bullets.
Those movies back then, though, especially, I feel like any of the martial arts stuff, like there was almost like that competition to outdo each other, and like they film it. But the point of the movie, I think, was always to showcase these stars doing these stunts, and I think that's certainly something other than like the Mission Impossible movies with Tom Cruise now. I don't know if they're really making movies with that like. Yeah. We're going to showcase this actor's skill in all genres. I think even comedies used to be the same way, where it's like we're going to make a movie for this comedian to be funny. And I know they attempt that nowadays every once in a while, but it's just I don't feel like it's the same, and especially with action. Like I said, I think there was that kind of constant push to one up each other and do something cooler and film it awesome, and then like computer generation came in and like, okay, we can take any actor and make them do cool shit because you slap their face on a stunt double.
I know we give props to like Corridor Digital every other episode, but like not only do they point out certain types of visual effects and not just CG, like they can go in on any current CG or whatever, but they recently covered like Independence Day and how good like the practical effects looked, miniatures and things like that. Them trying to actually make movie magic without the assistance of computer generated, which is so easy. It's also easy.
That was a time. Independence Day.
It's easy to look bad, but it's also
good CG is amazing.
Yeah,
and good CG you don't even know it's CG.
But like, what I'm trying to say is like much props to fucking Corridor Digital because they will highlight some of those like old school things, even like old school movie magic and then stunt. They even have one called like Stuntman React, where they will have the stuntman come in and cover like some of those old school, wire work and kung fu stuff, and just mention how like now same thing now nowadays it just ain't what it used to be. You know what I mean?
Speaking of ain't what it used to be, honestly, in my heart of hearts, I think they need to bring back only Thursday night midnight showings. Forget that 7 o'clock and on stuff. Like they need to give that like nerdiness back to the nerds. Like I know we're older now, and a lot of people don't want to go to the movies at midnight, but
as much as I would love that, I don't think they could ever recapture that magic.
No, they can't. Also, put bloopers back in trailers, please.
I think Pixar started doing that.
Or the end credits.
Yeah, they just started doing that. I love me a good
the end
blooper reel.
credits. Like that was the era too, where it wasn't like you actually sat there and you actually watched those funny bloopers. That was a good time.
One of the things that is so fun, like being an adult and the people making the movies now are our ages. What?
First of all, being fun and an adult, no.
Yeah, no, there's nothing fun.
Well, there's more to what I was going to say.
Stay young forever, kids. Don't do it.
Go ahead.
Don't do it.
No, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
Not worth it.
My bad.
Whatever, Toon Squad.
Oh, wait, did you see the back of it? Can you see it from there? Carmona 69.
That's the funny number.
I'm married. I'm 69. As I was trying to say with much couth in class, it's nice that the filmmakers that basically we were our age growing up are now making those movies and trying to bring back some of that nostalgia and throwing some of those little nods, may or may not be like Easter eggs, but just trying to bring back that feel of how it was when you were a kid and trying to bring that spirit back.
Yeah,
one of the ones was like, and this is why it's like one of my top 5 favorite movies was like Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Something that felt anime. No other movie has done it since or before.
That was a really good movie. It's one of my favorites.
Fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
I rewatch it. Oh, I used to watch it like once a week.
Any movie that
It
recognizes
is a good background movie.
any movie that recognizes that they're not making a documentary and movies can be art and you can do fun things with it, and that's such a great story to do it with. Like, yeah, it's just so.
But when you see filmmakers like they go in with a passion. When you have like the Alex Garlands or whomever, and they just go in with all of this passion, and they go, yeah, studio heads, whatever. I'm doing my thing, and it's it's always good movie experiences. Whether it's being like heavy on the nerd stuff, but like for instance, we just booked the tickets today to go see Superman. Hearing James Gunn talk about this and with the passion that he's talking about, as far as like coming up with a good story. Now it's yet to be seen. It could be complete fucking garbage, but kind of hearing good things so far.
Bite your tongue.
Huh?
I said bite your tongue.
Yeah, I know, right? But it's one of those things where it's like, okay, I feel like we might be heading in a sort of direction where, you're getting some of the right people in the places to make some of these things.
Maybe.
And
they're
they're slowly like getting these movies from, or these rights to these movies from our generation. Like they're slowly pumping them out. You have like the video game movies, of course, but they're slowly tapping into like the next kind of must be Ellie's tail. But the Masters of the Universe movie that's coming out, the little teaser poster, just showing his torso with the sword. Like, I'm ready, but at the same time, I'm not, because it's like you want somebody who like truly loves this stuff and not just somebody like, oh yeah, let me just write this movie.
Making a reboot to make a reboot. You know what I mean? Yeah.
I'm not excited for. I mean, like, I'll see it,
Full
of course. Yeah, generally not excited. One, I think I just would like to see something new, and
Yes, that too, of course, always.
I did this idea of taking like a kid's cartoon and then making a live action. There's always that question of like, is it still going to be for kids? Is it going to be the adult rated R version that like some of us probably would want? It most likely not, right? It's going to try to be some in between, like the Michael Bay Ninja Turtles, where it's like it's for kids, but also like people can come back and watch it as adults, or nerds might gonna like it.
Exactly like Star Wars. I mean, it has like that medium and mix.
Yeah, exactly, and that's why Star Wars has been like hit or miss. I don't know though. I guess for me, a lot of nerd stuff will always be low budget cult stuff. So the fact that they're turning it into these multi-million-dollar huge budget movies is like, it's exciting, but it's also like, don't lose what makes nerd stuff. Like, I think I've said it before a few times, like even like Chris Pine, who plays Captain Kirk in the J.J. Abrams Star Treks, like talked about it. It's like, if that means less explosions to make an actual Star Trek show with dialogue and like good character development and a good story, and just cut some of the booms so it's not so expensive, so then you don't have to sell as many tickets, so you can make a Star Trek movie for Star Trek fans instead of for everybody, then do it, right? And I think, if we're going back to talking about growing up nerd, part of what made it so great for our generation also is like pre-streaming television had time slots, and I know I've talked about this on the show, where there was a place for a low-budget sci-fi movie. There was a sci-fi channel that was generally all low-budget sci-fi movies or sci-fi shows. And there was a place for it because they needed the 3 p.m. time slot so someone could come along and make some random sci-fi thing. And, some of them were good, some of them were bad. But there was always that kind of cult thing, and depending on your own schedule of like, I finished my homework at 4 o'clock, so I turn on the TV and nothing else is on other than this random alien sci-fi show that kind of sucks, but it's the only thing to watch, so I'm going to watch it. And you end up loving it. And then that, like, you go to early conventions, it's like, that's like the fun of it. Like, are those more kind of niche things, or even like Star Trek for a while was kind of like its own thing. And there was like, nowadays it's all so high budget mainstream. Like, I think it's a shame that the low budget stuff, I guess that's where YouTube and that like comes in. Like, people are making homemade stuff. But I wish there was a place for low budget stuff, because unfortunately, like I've said before, no matter what you're making, you're up against HBO shows, you're up against Disney constantly, right? Because people are going to sit down in front of their computers or TVs to stream something, and it's like, are they going to pick the weird random indie sci-fi show with no budget, or are they going to pick the next Game of Thrones or the 53rd Marvel show? Ironheart just came out.
I watched that. It's okay. Like, and speaking of Marvel and some of like the lower end stuff was like, what the hell was it? Shadow and like, what the fuck was it?
Cloak and Dagger.
Cloak and Dagger. That was really good. And I knew that like it wasn't going to be for everybody to enjoy, but it was just so enjoyable. And I'm like, I know it's going to go away. You know?
And I mean, I didn't watch it, but I'm sure.
Oh, it's his fault.
Yeah. I was there. Someone was like, if we just had one more.
But going to that point, you just said it right now, like Ironheart. Like, I saw the first 3 episodes, and it's cool. It's a Marvel stuff, and it has its formula, and it fits into those slots, and it is from thanks to Ryan Arian's Screen Crash. It's like it's true to the comics, but I don't know what I'm like expecting out of it as far as like any kind of actual heart.
Yeah, I mean.
Something to watch.
Going back to our topic, like if I was a young person today, and like something like that came on, and I wanted to watch it. Like, I guess I'm as a white male, maybe I can't relate as much to Riri Williams, but like I don't know if that I guess if I could transport the show back to when I was a kid and that came on, I probably would have loved it.
Yeah.
The idea of someone in a suit, you know, I mean, it's very much Iron Man, but like, I could see that. But in today's world where there's so much of the superhero content,
Yeah.
like,
This is exactly how I felt watching it.
yeah, which sucks because each superhero out there is like pretty cool, and I think most of them they could actually make a pretty cool show for. But the fact that there's so many of them and you have to stand out amongst it, and
Yeah.
I think it kind of loses itself.
I think so. No, 100%. Going back to like, you know, me finding my people and stuff. What was that moment where you guys found your people, or did you always have your people?
Oh no, I didn't have my people until Disneyland. Like
He looks
when I
longingly
started
at Jermaine.
when I started working at Disneyland is when I found my fucking group, and like some of those people I don't keep up with anymore. But Jermaine became a forever friend out of there, and then from him to you guys. But yeah, that was from high school to
The missing link.
What a downgrade I was, huh?
shit. That was like what 97 to 2000, and then
Shit, I need to get you
2002.
surgically removed.
There was like 2 years where I was just
Is
like
there pills we could take?
staring at the wall, being a
Killing
nerd
fire.
by myself. And then like when, you know, I started working there and made this friend group and like started talking about movies, and then from there into, you know, all the offshoots, anime and comics and all that stuff. That's when I like finally settled into it. I'm like, I'm a nerd, and like this is my life path. It just brought me to this podcast.
That's your
To talk
motto
about it.
in
I
the
didn't
mirror.
choose nerddom.
Yeah.
Nerddom chose me.
Make a shirt.
Oh, speaking of
Oh,
apparel,
Oh,
that was another thing too back in the day that really wasn't like mainstream. So I do remember, you know, going to just anywhere, you know, like the mall, you know, going to Six Flags, you know, going to Disney, anywhere, going to like a convention or something like that. Just seeing people with nerdy apparel in the beginning when that stuff like really wasn't, you know, like sold at like a Hot Topic
Hadn't
or like
taken
a
off yet.
lunchbox.
Spencer's.
Like it was one of those things, yeah. Like
I don't even know if
like
they
it
really
was one of
sold them
those
there.
things where when you saw somebody wearing, you know, some type
Yeah.
of anime shirt, like a Berserker shirt or like a Dragon Ball Z shirt, I'm like, where'd you get that from?
You fucking see that motherfucker in there and you'd be like,
right,
the
right,
hat tip.
right.
well, I remember like I would wear a Green Lantern shirt, right? That I'm pretty sure I got at Comic-Con or something like that, or maybe a comic book store, because Green Lantern certainly wasn't being sold like at
Yeah,
Targets
yeah,
or anything
yeah.
like that. And yeah, people would walk by and be like, Green Lantern? I'd be like, yeah, like, yeah. And then the movie came out and I stopped wearing it because people were like, you like that movie? It's like, no, I don't. It's like, God damn it. To answer your question though, Isaac, about like finding my people, I definitely went through multiple groups. Elementary, I mostly hung out with my neighbor Danny, and we played a lot of video games. I did eventually. There was a kid like that lived behind me. He really got me into a lot of nerd stuff. He introduced me to comic books, the Warhammer stuff, Blood Bowl, D&D. Like that was a big moment. And it's funny, like going back to it, Jermaine was saying earlier, you know, you get to certain ages, some people outgrow it. I remember like eventually in high school, I didn't go to too many big high school parties. We generally threw a lot of our own nerdy shit at my place, but going to like the big nerdy party and like he was there and I was just like, hey man, we're playing Blood Bowl again. He's just like, don't fucking talk to me about that shit. I was so excited because like we played Blood Bowl together when we were like 12 and now, you know, here we are like 17, 18. It's like, oh, and the new edition came out, we're playing. He's like, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. I was like, oh, okay. That's,
Play that shit.
yeah.
Back in your closet, nerd.
But like, and then like middle school, I had like a pretty hardcore group of like nerdy friends. Like I was on Science Olympiad and stuff like that. So like I had like academically nerdy friends and D&D and stuff like that. Anime, they introduced me to a lot of that kind of stuff. And then like in high school, I ended up in a different class because I was in honors and AP and stuff like that. And so I was in like a different groups. That's when I met most of my friends that you guys know now. Which most of them were nerdy, not all of them. So that was kind of fun. Like there'd be that like clash.
yeah.
Like going back to what I was saying earlier about like nerds had something to do. I remember one moment specifically. It was like a Friday night. We were all out. Like we would tend to drive like cram in one car or maybe multiple cars and generally drive around Friday night trying to figure out what the fuck we wanted to do. And I remember I'm like, oh, I need to swing by the Warhammer store. I think I need to get paint or something. And so we swung by the Warhammer store. It was a different one, not the one on the block. And it was packed. It was full of people. And like one of my friends who wasn't really much of a nerd, like didn't want to go in. And so I went in, got my stuff, came back. He's like, look at all these fucking nerds in there. I'm like, yeah, they're having a good fucking time. It's Friday night and there's 20 of them in there, like laughing their ass off, smiling. While we're going to spend our night driving around in the car trying to figure out what we want to do. Like, we're going to have a good time too. But like, don't fucking bag on them.
They're having a great
they're having
time.
the time of their fucking life. Not a woman in sight, though. Not back then, at least. One of my favorite things along this conversation was because I used to tutor and I eventually was a substitute teacher, and like picking out the nerds like in the classes, like that was always kind of fun. Like there was the shy nerds that like I could tell like didn't want to talk about it, and I would just be like Dragon Ball, huh? Or what, whatever shit they had on their desk. Or I remember some kids found out I played Magic the Gathering. And they're like, oh, you should play. I'm like, oh, what do you guys play? They played in some other teacher's classroom like during lunch. So I show up and that teacher's like, Mr. Gentry, what are you doing here? I'm like, here to fucking own these noobs, kick the shit out of them. They didn't even know how to play. They thought they were playing Magic. Like, I swear to God, one kid was ready to cry. Barely even gave him a chance to play.
Going back to the shirts thing, I think in my era, the telltale like nerd apparel would be if it mashups. If you could bounce, because that's not sold at a Target or a Walmart or whatever. It's just like the mashups. I remember I have one. I barely fucking fit into it anymore, but it's Doctor Who and Deadpool and The Walking Dead all mashed up into one.
Oh, nice, yeah.
So I remember
Pre-AI. This is when artists actually did shit. Humans.
Absolutely.
I did have a whole era where I fucking was rocking those mashups, like fucking TFury.com had.
Love a
Oh,
mashup.
T-Fury.
Had that
Oh,
shit
Love a
up.
mashup.
God.
Yeah.
That drained my wallet more than an OnlyFans girl.
T Fury was Rudy's Amazon back in the day because he was getting packages and he's like, hey man, it's only like $10. I'm like, yeah, but that should add up. You got 50 shirts in a month.
I did have I had a problem like because they would drop like every night at like 9 o'clock, and I'd be like, fucking yeah, let's go. Oh, like that motherfucking yeah, ordered.
That's where I learned the power of limited edition. So
Yeah.
T-Fury, for those of you that don't know, I think they've changed their formula a little bit, but back in the day, they sold a shirt for 24 hours and that's it, right? And they'd have various artists around submit their shirt. It would go on sale. You got 24 hours to buy it. And yeah, so it made it so addictive to check every day, right? First thing in the morning or late at night. And then, yeah, you'd see it and be like, yeah, fuck it, I want it. I had so many also. And like every once in a while, I'd be out and see someone else in like the same shirt and we were like, like it was super cool.
I remember one time we went camping. I think it was the first time we went to Joshua Tree. And,
I think that was my first time I met you.
And I don't know if I was married at that point. No, I wasn't married at that point. But that was during that era, and fucking like I was, gone for 3 days, no internet, and I came out, and Rachel was like, my wife had dropped into the chat like, look, this one that came out like 2 days ago and you missed it. I'm like, oh fuck, that was a good one. She's like, I ordered for you. I knew you'd find it. I'm like, fuck yeah.
He dropped down to one knee. Pee break.
God.
Okay, before we wrap up and before we do our roundtable hype stuff, one last question, sort of like looming in the air. How did you guys feel? Did you feel like you were part of a bigger group when you went to your first Comic-Con? And did you guys go together or did you guys go separately?
We all went separate. But
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we all went.
So my friend, another person that I
sad
met
story.
at
Is he still with us?
No, another person that I met at Disney.
You steal from
Sterling.
him also?
No, I didn't steal from him. I'm trying to think. Did I? No, I didn't.
Holy shit, that took me a second.
He was like, "Yeah, I'm going down to Comic-Con." I'm like, "Comic-Con? What the fuck is that?" And he's like, "What's the convention they do in San Diego?" I'm like, "He's like, you want to go?" I'm like, "Sure." And he fucking took me one year, and I'm like walking into that shit, I was like, "What the fuck is this?"
What year was it?
Shit, it was not 90. It was 2004.
Okay.
2003.
Is that when it wasn't
3 or 4?
mainstream? Because when I went in 2016, like it was very mainstream.
What year was it
at that
again,
time.
Jermaine?
It was
2000.
getting there. 2007. I'll never
Seven.
forget. when tickets were sold out at the window. You could buy tickets at the window at that time.
Fuck.
Like
Yeah.
from 2003,
20
2004 to 2007, we were just going and like, oh, fucking one,
Fuck.
please. Here you go. And fucking just walk in.
I didn't know
If you
that
bought
part.
if you bought tickets for Comic-Con online, it was $20. But if you waited until, the actual weekend of Comic-Con, it was $25 at the window.
Yeah.
At the window.
That was a
I think
fucking
my
time.
first time must have been around that same time period because I'd read comics when I was a kid. I picked up a couple through high school, and then in college I took a screenwriting class, and my dialogue sucked. So I was like, well, what medium can I read that has a lot of dialogue? Comic books. So I got back into comic books hard. Like it was pretty quickly to the like $40 to $50 a week purchases of comic books. 'Cause new comic books came out every Wednesday at the time. Now they've all mucked it up and it's all different and scary and weird. But it used to be every Wednesday you can go and I would drop like 40 or 50. And then I think I had a friend that was also into comics and they were just like, you want to go to this Comic-Con thing? It's a thing. I was like, all right, cool. And then I went and it was amazing. And yeah, especially back so to answer your question, like going there and just seeing all the comics and especially back then when I was collecting and like finding some of the old stuff and like being able to complete things. And back then, like a lot of people were giving out a lot more free swag. So you'd leave Comic-Con with just a bag full of free shit,
fuck,
comics to
I remember
read
that.
and stickers and all that stuff. Like it was such
that
a
was
blast.
El Dorado, yo. That was the city of gold when you walked in there.
Yeah.
If you didn't know what it was.
I would have loved to gone before it was mainstream, but even me going in 2016, there was something about it that, like, yes, there was like the center stage, mainstream shit. I think the cast of the Justice League or the Suicide Squad, one of those things was there, and I remember at that moment I was like, I don't fucking care about that, and I was talking with Rob Paulson. Yes, you remember this, right? Yeah, the voice of Pinky, the voice of, I think, Donatello in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I'm like, oh. Amongst this mainstream, there are still the things that everybody still enjoys, and like I felt that vibe. Although it might have been like a flu or cold floating in the air that everybody gets from Comic-Con, but still wonderful.
A lot of those like voice actors and even just some of the older actors from the shows are always there, and that's one of those things that like it doesn't lose its magic, but like after you've gone to so many, it's like Lou Ferrigno, 4 of the 5 of the Power Rangers, like. I still I feel bad because I kind of brushed it off, but usually because like at that point I'm so frustrated by the amount of people that are there.
Right.
But it is fun when you go with someone who's never been before. Or I took my parents to, I think it was called Kamikaze at the time, but it's LA Comic Con now, and I think my dad got a pretty good kick out of seeing like a lot because there's a lot of the very old actors from like the old sci-fi shows, and I think my dad got a good kick out of it. But also like it was like God, they're old, made him feel old and stuff like that. But it is like that element of Comic-Con is still cool that it's there, and I'm glad to see some of these people are still going to all the cons and you get to meet them.
Jermaine, what was your first Comic-Con? Do you remember?
I did man, I think it was like 99 or 2000. Like I did ROP animation, and
What's that?
it was during the summertime, but it was animation class, where you learn to animate 2D style, pencil and paper, and you just film every drawing. Like you're literally working your animation sheets, like how the animators do, and you just sitting there drawing. Like I still have my video, which I made like a Gundam, like walk and battle like another Gundam. I should have chose something else because Gundams have a lot of detail.
Yeah.
I used to like doodling stick figures. It was the simplest shit ever.
But it was just one of those things for that particular class. They were like, "Oh, we're going to go on a field trip to Comic-Con." I'm like, "All right." Get my little slip signed and everything, and which I probably told this story before, but I went to Comic-Con with $40.
Yeah.
Comic-Con.
I mean, back then,
Of all places.
yeah.
With only $40.
Back then, comics were like $1, $2, I think.
The minute I walked in that door, that fucking Beetlejuice screamer, Like I was just, I only have $40, but I left with some pretty good comics. Was where I believe at that time I was introduced to, or I actually picked up Witchblade #1, and then I got into there was like a crossover Witchblade and Tomb Raider because I was really into the Tomb Raider games at the time. So I was like, oh, they got
And big
a comic.
titties on the covers.
But
both those characters.
I also
Sorry,
found my favorite
inappropriate.
time. My favorite artist at the time was Mike Turner, and he was drawing like a lot of those stuff for Image / Top Cow at that time.
Yeah.
So that was like a lot of good times, but man, that place was amazing. Like, I'll never forget that first, like, walking in that door and just looking to my right, my left, and just forward.
And knocking shit off tables with the size of your erection.
Man,
Again.
Yeah.
Do you need to fire one up?
Turner, Michael Turner. We've talked about Turner before
I
on the
started
show, but Turner,
Rubbing
his
one out
comics were
before
certainly
six
one.
episodes. I'm sorry.
It's fine. Turner was one that like caught my attention so hard in the comic book store. His covers just stood out. Like his art style was really
yeah.
talented. There was a couple other people that kind of got his style down too, but
which was really cool because you actually got to go to Comic-Con and actually meet the artists and the writers that actually like wrote those comics. And
yeah, and that's one thing. Like, I haven't been reading a lot of comics lately, so going to Comic-Con, even like it's coming up for us. We're going in like a month. Oh yeah, that's all his normal as his stuff. Aspen and
His Aspen
Fathom
universe.
or whatever. Yeah, but he eventually did like he did the Supergirl or Superman story and the Supergirl stuff. That was all really cool. Yeah, so like now
R.I.P.,
going to Comic-Con
R.I.P.
without me reading the comics, it does like you kind of lose that because Comic-Con, a cool part of it is meeting the writers, meeting the artists, going to the panels and asking questions and stuff. If you can get into the panels now it's ridiculous. But one last thing, at least for me, before I can shut up, I would say something that kind of made me realize how cool and fun nerdiness can be. Even though, I mean, I was always a nerd. I was never too like ashamed of it or anything like that. But finally getting to watch the Kevin Smith movies. I think like Mallrats and, you know, because they were at the comic book store and stuff there. Like obviously Kevin Smith's a huge nerd. And so like that nerd realm exists throughout all those stories. And I mean, I watched the shit out of all of them. I watched Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back so much. I could still probably recite the whole movie. But like Dogma and Mallrats and I didn't watch Chasing Amy too much. And then Clerks, I was actually introduced. Yeah, that's such a badass Superman suit. Sorry, Isaac, for those of you listening, Isaac is showing me Michael Turner art. And then Clerks I actually watched in my screenwriting class because it was very much like, let's learn how to write a good screenplay.
Yeah.
And
I love hearing Kevin Smith on podcasts. Like I can go and you learn something from it and the passion of it and just
That
the
guy can
level
talk.
of nerd. Oh
Yeah.
man.
usually at Comic-Con we'd wait for like one of his panels and it's just like, man, someone asks like one question, he just goes on and on and on and on and on.
He's recently on Whiskey Ginger, Andrew Santino's podcast, and you know just all the things you want to hear about it, like because he was kind of promoting Dogma's re-release,
Yeah.
25-year, although he said technically 24-year anniversary, and unfortunately I didn't have time to go see that because I've only seen it the once as a kid.
I
would
do
love
feel
to
like,
rewatch
and
that.
I hate saying this, like I still think Kevin Smith's awesome. I think he's super, just impressive everything he's done. I would say when he started smoking weed, it kind of fell down because he wasn't always a big stoner. I know he wrote the characters, but from what the story he told was Seth Rogen is the one that made him start smoking weed because he did Zach and Miri film a porno.
Make a porno.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Seth Rogen was in that, right? Yeah. And like Seth Rogen assumed Kevin Smith was like a big pothead because he wrote all these characters and it was like, well, I got to smoke with. Yeah. That was the story I remember hearing. I don't know how true it is. I'm sorry. Fact check me.
I'm sure
But I
there's-
do feel like
yeah.
after that, like Kevin Smith, like, I don't know, like to his credit, he just started making movies that he wanted to make. And
Yeah.
but it wasn't. They weren't necessarily the best movies.
No, like Walrus is okay. And,
Oh, Tusk! I
Tusk,
was
I'm sorry,
so
yeah.
excited for Tusk. The way he was describing it, and the way like, oh, Tarantino read the script and was like scared of it, and my wife like couldn't sleep, and then it came out. I was like, oh, okay,
yeah, that's cool.
yeah, all right.
Yeah. There was a fall off of Kevin Smith stuff. Any last bits before we wrap up and go round table?
I do have a quick question. Do you guys have anything that you like will slap your nerd dick on the table and just be like, these are my credentials? What do you got?
No. I used to feel that way, and I think people used to be pretty impressed. But like, we live in a world now where like because of the internet and like people's ability to hyper research, and I will never be that person. Like, I'm passionate, I love this stuff, but like I'm not that passionate. Like, I'm
No.
not gonna go research.
But still, there's literally no other people. There's like one or two other people like that I work with where I can have semi-similar discussions with. They probably watch the show. Hi guys. But outside of that, like you can tell when someone's passionate about something. You can research all you want and regurgitate some stuff, but there is that little glimmer in their eye when they're talking about it. That's more of like excitement than anything else.
But I remember even like in college, I was at my friend's dorm or whatever, and his roommate or someone was like, "Oh, you like Star Trek?" I'm like, "Yeah, I love Star Trek. I watch all Star Trek: Next Generation, Voyager, Deep Space Nine. I watch it all. I watch the old stuff." He's like, "Yeah. Season 3, episode 5, like blah blah." I'm like, "Fuck off!" Like it never even occurred to me to like remember
To like memorize it.
like that kind of specific stuff. And this was generally like early internet, so like he probably owned the Blu-rays or something like that, and that helped. Like I never bought series too much on DVD, but it was like I knew what episode he was talking to once he described it. But the fact that he knew, or like even just knowing the name of the episode, like,
that is
shut
my
the fuck up.
that was my reaction when you were like, "Oh, Green Lantern and this illustrator and this writer," and which
yeah.
in the comic book realm, like that's normal. It's like knowing a director or a writer or whatever. But
yeah, you generally try to know a couple so you don't sound like a complete jackass when you go to. So you know.
Okay, so bringing it back into the present roundtabling of all the nerd things that we are
we
excited
didn't
about
answer
now.
Yeah, was there
Everybody
more?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So
Sorry.
I used to with anime because there wasn't a lot, but it was one of those things like I would consume everything, but there's so much now that I'm behind, but I'm slowly catching up. But I will say I still have like my foreign film game on lock. Subtitles for life, son. But it's one of those things like back in the day,
So
you
ableist
used to talk about
the people
like
that can not read.
like battle royale and all those
Oh,
stuff, like
fuck.
Azumi
Oh, Battle Royale.
and like Storm Riders and all that stuff. Like I can still have a conversation with somebody, about like, oh, have you seen this? Oh, have you seen that? Like that's one of the things that we can battle on, like who's seeing what, because that aspect, like I've never let that go, and I probably won't ever. But my foreign film game, and when I say foreign film, like I just mean like the ancient cinema, kung fu,
The good foreign.
dramas and all that other stuff. But like I watch all that shit. Like,
Sorry, I can't make that joke.
but that's my on the table.
Nice. That's a good e-peen. Do they still say e-peen? Does anyone know what that means?
What does that mean?
Yes.
It's like e-penis.
Yeah, electronic penis.
Like, yeah, electronic penis. Yeah, that was like back in the old forum days when you wanted to flex how much you knew about something. You were whipping out your e-peen.
So to bring it back to we were talking about earlier about fucking ever being able to catch up on One Piece, or like getting the fucking fatal disease and finally being able to watch a bunch of shit. That I've watched every single episode of Naruto, the anime. There's 720 episodes. Like I had to look it up because I didn't know how many there were.
Wow.
From its original to the time skip, and I haven't done the new series where it's like the Next Generation or whatever. But 720 episodes. Like I've seen every single one of those. Like it took me a better part of a year to catch up on that. It was a dark time in my life, but that out of that came that I was able to watch all.
Old old, no, or not old Rudy, but back in the day, Rudy was a beast when he like consumed like when we had to. Man, I miss those pirate years where we literally had to scour the internet, you know, to find, well, to just get all the episodes because you know there were warriors out there that wanted everybody to see. So you know, so they put it up, and then they even got people who used to do the subtitles. Like they would,
Oh yeah, the subgroups.
yeah, they would translate. Man, we had writers back in the day. I
Fan
miss that
subs.
era so
Fan subs
much.
were clutch, especially with like the shit that was actually still in production, because it would come out and the fucking translators would work, and like maybe like a day or two later would have an English translation of the episode that had just come out 2 days prior, and they would put it up. Like that was the time.
Yeah,
that was the time.
Before everyone was trying to monetize everything and becoming an influencer. Nerds
They
nerds
absolutely
just
did it for free
served
and
the
put it out.
purpose. Yeah.
That was crazy. Like, and that particular anime was, I think that's the highest one I've ever watched, because Bleach, I'm looking at it right now, it has 366 episodes. And I know you've seen every single episode of that shit.
Oh yeah.
But like that, like, I can't even imagine a One Piece fucking 1,000+ episode series.
God damn.
I think though, I mean, like that. This is the kind of stuff that contributed to why, especially like our generation, really grew up to like understand nerdiness maybe at a different level than what newer generations are going to get, because the shows we loved, you look at Star Trek, right? The Star Trek we grew up with, like Next Generation, Voyager, or Deep Space Nine and Voyager all had 7 seasons, each with like 20, 24 episodes or something in it. I mean, so that was 21 years, 21 seasons total. And Enterprise had 5. I don't know if I count Enterprise. We'll count Enterprise. So it was like 26 seasons of like 24 episodes. Like we had a shit ton of this content. And it was generally like weekly episodes that had some underlying stories, but for the most part, it was a weekly episode. You got like this nice little hour monster of the week kind of thing that the crew had to beat. And they would stick out because there were each these fun little moments, and you had so many of them. Where now it's like, oh, you like Star Wars? Oh, Mandalorian. Cool. Mandalorian's been out for years now, and they have, what, 8 episodes total?
God, that's so
Like
such a good
5?
point.
I mean, like, Andor had 24 episodes, and I think that's part of also what's going to make Andor stand out. But granted, it was all one long story. And so I think it's even that. Even with the 24 episodes of Andor, it's still going to kind of miss that moment of, like, those cool Monster of the Week things. There's going to be those moments that stand out, but...
That goes for back then, that goes for like any other media, whatever, even like music, where like you didn't have easy access to it, so you were just presented this thing, and then you
bought a fucking album because the single was great and it sucked.
and then
your entire allowance on
and then
it.
you listen to it over and over, and you go,
Yeah.
maybe something to it, and then it's your favorite fucking song. Like that's something that you're forced to do. Now you're trying to consume all these things. You don't really have a moment to sit down, unless you have like a fucking podcast where you're sitting down and kind of forced to talk about every little aspect of it and trying to analyze. Not to say that it's like a bad thing, but it does. I don't think outside of a podcast, outside of any group that's like people that are generally talking about it at like the bubbler, you know, no one's really like sitting down and going like, hey, what other aspects about this thing? What would you like? Would you watch? Because like at friends at work, right? They go like, did you watch the thing? I go, yeah, I saw the thing. It's fucking good. All right, meeting starting. And then that's like the conversation. We really, you know, now we're adults. We don't really have friends that we're like talking about this if it doesn't involve a microphone in front of our faces. You know, but
Well, and that's also, I think, an outcome of the new streaming services, because again, as Jermaine mentioned earlier, like if you missed an episode back in the day, you missed it.
yeah.
Part of that was, oh fuck, I missed Star Trek. Did you watch Star Trek this week? And you would sit there and just listen to it, right? You didn't care about spoilers because you were never gonna fucking see it again.
Yeah, spoilers
Like you were just
exist.
mad that you missed
Oh,
it. So it was
man.
like, please,
Free
like,
spoilers.
or you know, hopefully maybe someone recorded it even, because back in the day you could put on VHS and record.
It's illegal, Doug.
Not back then. It wasn't illegal. It wasn't like trying to sell it.
I see you gal, Navy gals.
Anyway, I mean,
I don't think I have that thing where it's like, you know, wow, look at this thing. I really don't, because I feel like I'm like the most average person in like so many ways. Where what?
You watch a shit ton of fucking movies.
There's people that watch a shit ton more. You know, there's people I talk with that are like, oh, have you seen all these lists of indie films? I'm like, look, I'm no fucking movie expert. I just happen to watch a handful of movies. There's people that will watch movies daily that are like revisiting stuff. Like, not as much as I would like to be. I mean, watching new movies. You know, does that fall into the realm of like nerd stuff?
I think so.
In ways. I mean, you're passionate about it, and
Really am.
and going to the movie theaters.
You're a
I think
cinephile.
that's awesome. Like support
Even
the-
if it is about lighting and sound design and stuff.
you know, you said people watch a lot of movies, but I feel like nowadays people watch a lot of like Netflix movies and stuff like that.
Totally,
so
yeah.
I think there's something to like dedicating to actually watching like good quality stuff that they're putting on in movie theaters and supporting theaters.
And, you know, like the point of like what my wife and I do as far as like doing our podcast, when we do finally do like our breakdowns and revisiting movies that are classic movies, and like you even said it a couple of weeks ago where you're like, yeah, motherfucker, I listened to the Pride and Prejudice thing and I wasn't going to watch it, but now I'm like thinking about wanting to watch it, you know, because, you know, you're watching it from like a cinephile perspective of like, look, it isn't a shitty movie. You may not be into that era or may not be like a nerdy thing, but there's just something about it that is interesting in how it's executed and delivered. You know, that's what I nerd out about.
I almost want to watch the last Final Destination just because I was like, Final Fantasy.
Alrighty then. Okay, now can we wrap it up into our round table?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, what the fuck have you guys been hyped about as of late? As of this recording?
Not a fucking thing.
Well, not really much, but I did finish the Righteous Gemstone.
I started
pretty
that.
good
I think I
series.
got like to the second season and I just stopped.
You have been doing that.
Yeah.
This new Rudy is disappointing me so much.
Oh, you too? Gee,
I got to. I got.
Yeah, man. I started.
I got to Walton Goggins and then I just.
I was about to
okay.
ask, how many seasons Walton Goggins in?
I don't know.
Fellow forehead guy.
He is supposed to be the new M. Bison, apparently. But
No.
Shut the fuck up.
When?
Really?
They've been slowly announcing, like we got 50 Cent.
like-
Yeah.
He's got the face for it.
Thank you
though,
for the
I think.
50.
he hasn't been like officially
down.
cast, but they say he's in talks, so I don't know yet. But anyways,
I don't know how I feel about that
that's
one.
my quick Righteous Gemstones, baby.
You know, real quick for when I was collecting all those comic books, at a certain point, when I was trying to cut back, I'd always be like, I'd get there on the Wednesday and walk down the new comic aisle, and if there was one that I knew I was reading, but if I couldn't remember what it was, or if I wasn't excited to see it, I would eventually just ditch it. So like with shows, you know, a lot of people like, I'll start watching a show if someone will suggest a show to me. And even if I'm liking it, but if at a certain point, like a few days have gone by and if I don't find myself thinking about it or
Yeah.
like don't find myself going
Yeah.
to it, like even if I know it's probably good, but if I'm personally just not like excited to go find it again, I probably won't pick it up because there's so much to watch.
Because you remember, like, being a kid, going back to the whole nerd thing, growing up nerd, and, like, it would consume you. And if it isn't consuming you, you're like, and it's just a whatever show.
Yeah, and I know I've said it, I think the last, like, 3 or 4 weeks on this show, it's like, ever since Andor ended and I finished Claire Obscure Expedition 33, everything is just like, no, this sucks.
No.
I have to almost
No.
tell myself, like, I'm not going to hit those
No,
moments.
no.
Or I need to try new things.
No, there's
But to answer
too much.
the hype stuff, I did finally start watching Daredevil, Born Again.
Oh.
Nice,
Born Again?
nice.
Is that what it's called?
But you not,
Yeah.
did you not?
I never watched any of
Okay.
the Daredevil stuff before. I think I watched the Warner fight scene from back in the day, and Dave I think used to
Oh,
watch it, so
super
I'd
good,
see some
yeah.
clips. But I'm
Good
liking
thing,
it.
yeah.
I'm pretty impressed. So that is one
Yeah.
that I'm like, I need to finish it, and I am excited to do that. I'm very impressed. I think it's really really cool,
Nice,
and it's kind of funny because they did She-Hulk, which is also a lawyer superhero show, but obviously different genres, the comedic version
Yeah.
versus the dramatic version. And it's kind of cool to see those parallels within the same universe.
What episode are you up to right now?
4 or something
Okay.
like that, 4
All
or
right.
5. I you know, but
Some
Yeah,
good
so I'm excited for watching that.
Tear jerking stuff in there.
yeah. And then Ironheart, I watched the first episode. I'll probably keep watching it because I like it. I
Yeah,
like
it
what they're
looks
doing
great.
so far. Yeah.
It's just so like okay.
Have you watched? He dropped all 3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing 3 this week and then like 3 next week or something like
Yeah.
that.
And that's your impression over the first 3, or just the first one?
The first 3.
Okay, so you watch all 3.
The first 3 is like it looks good because they finished film. They wrapped filming in 2022. So they had all the time to make the CG and everything else look good, and it does look good. Like of course, there's obvious CG flying scenes and stuff, and inspiration taken from all the other Iron Man stuff. But there's, the word formulaic. It's what you expect to see, and there's not that I don't know if I'm expecting anything new. I don't know if I want to be wowed. Like WandaVision was something new, and that was wow. And this is someone who's struggling, and the story will resonate with somebody, and it's a fun watch, and it's interesting. But there are certain, it's not going to spoil it. I'm not trying to spoil anything. There are certain story plots that are just like, also just coincidentally kind of thing. Where for me, it like stood out so much, and I go, okay.
I think Marvel, not to sidetrack because I know we're going a little long. I think Marvel's really dropping the ball by like consistently insisting that these new characters like get their moment to shine, stand on their own.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying all of them, but like a mentor, an existing character that we already know, like being a mentor. I mean, we see the father-daughter kind of relationship worked really well with like The Last of Us. I think that's part of the reason why people aren't too excited about The Last of Us 2, because they killed that off. Spoilers. But
Said he no.
But it's like we've done these like series introducing a new character so many times, and they just don't seem to work. And I think it would help. Like, I mean, like the Hawkeye series where they're introducing the new Hawkeye, but Hawkeye, Jeremy Renner still in it. Like, that was awesome. Obviously, that works because of that character and everything like that. But like, I don't know who Ironheart's mentor could have been, but I still feel like that might help. Different dynamic, and then just watching another origin story, and they're all kind of beginning to sound the same.
That's
Yeah,
exactly it. It's formulaic. Nothing stood out. Everyone's perfectly fine. It feels like a TV show. Again, it looks really good, but nothing's like wowing me.
And from the overall MCU point of view, and I know they filmed this years ago, but like, like we've said, they need the Shield kind of character to bring people back. And with the latest Marvel movies, they're talking about bringing back the Avengers, or there already is the Avengers, and this and that. It's like, this would be a great, like, this show, had they thought of this ahead of time, like, would have been a great one of like someone trying to set up a new team, finding people. Like, let's just get on with this. And like, you could tell her origin story through that story. You have this large story to be told within the Marvel universe. Like, you can incorporate it.
The one thing that is going to stand out, and this is from like little snippets of the trailer, and it's in these 3 episodes, is that it is a combination of science versus magic. So that's like the interesting aspect to it. We're 3 episodes in. The magic component of it was sort of introduced at like the end of the first episode, and then kind of is explored a little more. But I like want to get into that more so than just like another Iron.
And Marvel has the opportunity to do a lot of stuff with magic. We all, I mean, I kind of forgot it existed, but the Agatha show was really, really good.
Really good.
Forgot it existed, but that was all magic. And then obviously Wanda and Doctor Strange. Like, there's a lot of potential to do something with magic with Marvel. Will they do it? I don't know. If they can cast Robert Downey Jr. as a new magic character also.
Wait, before you get into it, because it's kind of, I'm sure it's going to lead into what you're going to talk about. What I'm hyped about is the Superman and the Fantastic Four. 'Cause I know you guys are anti-spoilers, but, I take it all in. Like,
oh, you watch every new trailer and every promo.
Like,
and
I've watched all the TV spots and all that stuff, and I've watched the last Superman one, and I watched the more recent Fantastic Four one, and the more I see, the more excited I get. More for Superman, which is surprising because the Superman's a big pansy to me, but I kind of I'm kind of getting real excited for this movie.
I was gonna look around to see who breathed in sharply. I realized no one other than Jermaine.
But
You get no emotion from King.
I say that shit though to intentionally bait him because I love doing it. But no,
Loves baiting him.
Superman is a little higher on the hype meter for me than Fantastic Four. So I'm really looking forward to those.
With the Fantastic Four movie, Marvel did a good job with Thunderbolts, where it's setting it on the correct path, but that's just one movie. I feel like Fantastic Four is the one that needs to slam dunk it. And if it doesn't, like with Ironheart, I just go, okay, it's another obvious MCU movie that's flashy and, it's doing the things.
There's gonna be so many jokes.
Yeah. It's gonna be a fun one. Is he gonna say clobber in time? I don't know.
All four of them are gonna
know?
be cocky, just like every other MCU character. I'm so sorry. I don't mean to shit on it, but
No, like
I don't understand how every hero in that universe is cocky.
that's exactly it. So it's got a lot of weight on its shoulders, and I'll obviously I'll like give the final judgment once we actually finally do watch it. When does it come out?
What is time?
Isn't
You were
it isn't in July as well?
Something like that. Fucking Doug.
I'll look at a vamp.
You two have computers in front of you.
I want to suck your blood. Sorry, I've always wanted to do that.
Beep, boop, bop.
But with Superman, I think we
July
we talked
11th.
Thank you, because
Superman July 11th.
Yeah.
Fantastic Four is July 25th.
so
I
because
thought they were more like head to head.
Comic-Con weekend.
Assholes.
with James Gunn, he's already shown what he can do. So I'm more like everybody else. Watch this, you know what I mean? And I'm excited to see that because it's something new, and we've already seen like his past movies with like the Suicide Squad, with the series like Monster Squad,
Creature Commandos.
Creature Commandos. I'm sorry,
and Peacemaker.
and Peacemaker. Yeah, so the evidence is there. It isn't like, oh, we have the course correct or anything like that. So like it's
And Guardians of the Galaxy 2, that great fucking nipple joke. I'm really glad he put that in multiple times.
I'm glad he redeemed it. He fucking reeled it the fuck back in. So he learned we can all make mistakes. But so there is the difference of expectations with those two movies. One is like, hey, everyone watch this. And with Fantastic Four, it's like, don't fuck it up. Let's just see what happens.
Yeah.
But those are the ones that are going to come out as far as the movies that did come out. Speaking of big dick energy, saw 28 years later.
What did you think of that? Because I have a friend who saw it and was like, he didn't hate it, but he was like, it was weird.
Correct. So
Wasn't the trailer even kind of weird? The trailer got me interested, probably because it was weird.
trailer was interesting.
That's what I told him. I like weird.
What I love about the 28 series is it isn't like your typical zombie, in case no one's familiar. It's the rage virus, the rage infection. And so no one's decaying or anything like that. And so
haven't
no
seen
one's
it, so
trying
thanks.
to... Oh, sorry for spoiling it for you. 20 years later.
28.
I will fucking hit you.
Sorry, I'm sober. I don't know
Wrap
why.
this shit up, B.
Sorry.
Wrap this shit up.
So it's the fact that they've already from the get-go have like created this different quote unquote, and the word zombie is used in these movies, a different zombie movie. So they're already setting different rules and then filming them differently, and the three different movies aren't connected in the sense of like this one character is carried over into the other one. So they're telling three completely different stories, and all of them are very compelling, and they're each in a different way. This one is no different, except there are certain little beats and components that are maybe a little too crazy for people, which I had just recently researched, and it's basically the end of the movie kind of jumped the shark for people. But then I looked into it, and the sort of history of why that ending is deeper and darker and very British. This one was meant for the Brits because of that particular reference. I'm being very vague, but I don't want to spoil it for
No,
anybody.
because I think I might actually go see this in the movie theater. So
Have you seen the others?
Yes.
Okay, because I did just read, I think 28
Nicole Kidman and the
days.
others?
I think 28 days later is that the first one?
Yeah.
I think that's playing for free on like Pluto or something. Because I couldn't find them streaming, so now I'm interested because I think that's on Pluto, and I think the second one is on Amazon or some shit. So
As far as like technical aspects of the film, I thought Aaron Taylor Johnson was going to be like the star of it, and he wasn't. I thought Jodie Comer was going to be the star of it, and she wasn't. Ray Fiennes has his bit in there, and he's miraculous in everything and anything that he's a part of. But the kid, it's the kid that's actually holding the entire movie on his shoulders, and it is impressive and it's surprising. And I cannot wait for. I think they're making 2 other 28 movies. I think revolved around this kid. So I'm looking forward to that and seeing what direction it's going to go. I think this would technically then be the first time that it's a consecutive story, or however you want to phrase that.
So
You
they're
know
going
what
to ruin their fun naming scheme.
28 and a half.
28
Yeah.
decades later. And
28 minutes later. But that movie's fun. It introduces a couple of new things, and certain things evolve. And the fact that this island of refugees or survivors that are quarantined basically pause their life back in like whatever it was, 2002, 2004, and some funny bits in there. I think it's still an entertaining movie and still a tearjerker in certain parts. I can see why certain people are not gonna really be too big on it, but I think it's still an enjoyable watch, honestly.
hell yeah.
And then another one I wanted to mention, because it did not get a lot of promo, but was Elio. That's Disney and Pixar's latest movie, an actual original story that isn't a live action adaptation. And I'm really bummed out because in the box office, it has been record breaking the lowest, which is fucking sad because people are like,
heard that this morning.
these fucking live actions and these sequels, and they can't ever think of anything new. I go, great. And then you'll name a movie that's coming out that's original. They go, I don't know about that. I don't think I understand. I never heard anything about that. Well, that's the fucking problem, is you're missing these little gems because it's a perfectly wonderful movie. These are from the directors that did Coco and Luca and Turning Red. And those were all perfectly fine original Pixar Disney movies that people have been a big fan of because of the things, Disney Pixar movies have always explored.
You said Dixar.
Dixar. Hey, you know what? I'm going to shorten it. Dixar has like explored, it's never just like, here's a story, the good and the bad, and then they do the thing that's always something a little bit deeper. And this one is no exception. And the animation style, I personally enjoyed. I was talking to somebody else, they didn't like the animation style, and I was like, oh, that's actually the thing that like stood out for me. But it's they do some of the like kind of obvious things and then expand on it in ways that I found that was very fun for both adults and kids. I'm really, really bummed out that no one went to go see this movie.
It did feel like this one had like a lot less fanfare than Pixar movies usually do when they come out.
Yeah.
So a couple of things. I think a Pixar exec said something along the lines of like, yeah, it's hard to make new stuff. I mean, like, I guess we can make Toy Story 27 or something like that. Yes.
Which
good
they are.
sarcastic
Which
comment.
they are.
But it's interesting because I don't remember seeing this advertised at all. And again, I think that's where like the algorithm comes in, where making a sequel to something that we grew up with, making a Toy Story 6 or whatever, is gonna hit my algorithm because for whatever reason they've decided nerds love old childish stuff and love nostalgia, which I know a lot of people do. But so it's like, even though Toy Story 6 is still going to be a kids movie, it hits my algorithm because it's like, oh, you grew up with this, you don't even want to see this. Where like a new property doesn't always do that because it's not like, if it doesn't hit that algorithm, and I'm not part of like a general movie algorithm. Just like I know people in my life will all be like, hey, Superman. They're like, there's a new Superman movie. And it's like, how the fuck? Like, what like shitty algorithm do you have that you have not seen?
Fucking
like
cat videos and that's it.
Yeah, right.
Has to be.
I think that with the aforementioned like Luca, Turning Red, and like Coco, I think that what made those things pop was that they were culture specific, and this one really isn't. The kid happens to be, I think, Mexican, or I think Puerto Rican, like,
Are those all interchangeable too?
Possibly.
And they've
I
had their
forget.
time.
But I forget who played. I think Zoe Saldana. So,
Oh, now I mentioned
something along the lines of that. But because it was of the other movies, like it wasn't a culturally specific movie. So even if it wasn't, advertised big, there's nothing for anybody to glom onto. They're like, oh, kids wants to see.
But that's the thing, though.
Aliens.
Like, it's made from the same studio. Like all those other movies were great.
Mm-hmm.
So if you see that, that's also one thing that I would never get disconnected. Like, the trailers, or the movies, the shows coming out. Like that aspect of my world, never. But like Doug said, you guys are talking about like the algorithm or certain people don't know there's a new Superman. I'm like, that's not possible in my world.
Yeah.
Like where,
Yeah.
like,
But
where
like
you
I heard
coming
about
from?
this when the original writer was still thinking
Bro,
about
like
it.
where you
Like,
coming from? Like
that was a new story.
but also that's the curse, because you're like, oh, this movie's coming out in 2029.
Yeah.
Or for me with video games, where it's like, here's 52 new video games that are coming out this year. I want them all.
When's
I don't have
GTA
the
6
time or
coming out?
money. I don't know. Hopefully soon.
You have to take Riley to go see it and see what you guys think about it. I personally, of all the Disney picks, the Pixar things, I really enjoy this movie. It's
cool.
fun. It's a lot of fun.
Like
So-
I
That's my
said,
movie
like,
roundup.
there was no like fanfare for it, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I might not ever actually see this one just because of that.
I got so mad when I saw that fucking headline. It's like, Alien broke box office records for being the lowest opening weekend. I was like, that sucks. That really sucks. And I lose faith in audiences because, again, like I said
Humanity.
before, they're complaining about original stuff, and then like they're the thing is.
Well, yeah, and I would say it's not the audience's fault. It's got to be media. I mean, like you said, those other movies had something that media outlets can glom onto, right? Is that the word glom? I've
Yeah.
never used it in my life. So and that helps, and so same thing, and also like I don't know. For me specifically, I'm a 42-year-old man that goes to the movies by myself. Like, I don't know if I could go see a Pixar movie, right, without a kid or a date or something like that. So
Fucking Pixar. That's
Buy 2 seats and just go, my kid's in the bathroom.
yeah, constantly. No
I'm-
one's even asking me.
I'm gonna research this, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Pixar was coined here on the Hype Attack.
All right, that's
But it is a shame when a good movie just doesn't get the media coverage, and there's, I mean, with the budgets they have, it's like wild.
Go see
It
Elio.
will once
Go
it
see
goes to
Elio.
streaming. Like a lot of movies become
Yeah,
classics, like the Goofy movie.
Yeah.
Didn't do good in the theater, but once it got released on VHS or DVD, like it instantly became a cult classic.
Disney animated stuff, as far as like CG stuff is concerned, has been really cool. My wife and I went to go visit her nieces. They're watching the Disney Channel, and there's like some CG animated stuff, and I'm like, what is this? And it looked like this. I might have been the same directors or whatever, but it had that kind of combination. Has anybody seen Turning Red?
Yes.
Yeah,
It
I
has
saw
that
all
combination
those
of like anime and like CG stuff that is just a ton of fun. It brings like this new life to it that you're not going for hyper realism. Did you guys like the animation style of Turning Red? No, so. Anyways,
Oh, I do.
yeah. So this Disney show. So
Oh,
it's like,
sorry. This is an audio medium. Yes, I did.
so, like that's existing. Anyways, go watch Alien. I really liked it.
like a
Go-
nodding
go-
button for your editing.
Go check that out.
Nodding.
And go see
I would
why
make one of those, though.
and go see why the alpha zombie is one of my favorite zombies ever in history.
Aw.
Google it. All right.
I,
anything else?
I heard radio talk show talking about that. It was like full frontal alpha zombie.
28 inches later.
Oh.
Yeah, dog. Although
Hell yeah.
Danny Boyle confirmed
Hey,
that
if that's a
all
side
prosthetics.
effect, if that's a side effect of
That's what I said.
rage virus, I'll take it.
Fucking setting a bite
Give me the
now.
rage.
Okay, let's wrap this fuck
All
up.
right.
If you haven't done so already, visit us on our social media at The Hype Attack on Instagram and TikTok. And if you're
Or check out thehypeattack.com where you can get all the links.
Yes, and if you're only listening to this, you fucking morons, watch us because we're something to gander at.
No.
YouTube.com/The Hype Attack Podcast. Wow. Yeah, Rudy did that. And Doug, as you always say.
Keep the conversation going. Yeah, I knew what I had to say. I thought I would be clever for 2 seconds, and then I lost it. Yeah,
You
keep
have
the
7 days to
conversation
think about
going.
this.
This topic, I'm sure a lot of you were young at some point.
There it was. There was the cleverness I was waiting for.
Thank you. I'm sure a lot of you were young at some point, and you were nerds, and I'm sure you have stories, especially people from different generations. I'd love to hear your experiences growing up nerd.
It was really nice hearing like you guys' childhood, and like I saw the little glimmer in you guys' eye, and they went back to miserable once we started closing out the
Oh
show.
yeah, if I wasn't on antibiotics, I'd be drinking so much talking about my childhood and being a
Oh,
nerd.
Jesus Christ. Oh, God. Drink with us next time. Next week. Same hype time.
Same hype channel.
Hype attack.